Unorthodox. I'm Brenda.
And I'm Sabrina. Is it healthy to fear hell? According to the multitude, everyone is going to some sort of heaven, right? Who have you ever asked, do you think you're going to hell? And they reply, yeah, probably. You'd be surprised. Think about it. How clever the devil is, though. As hectic and hellish as earth seems to be, especially without God, if every person went to heaven, would it not be more of the same? A satanic worshiper would say yes and prefer hell. Hell is dark and apparently peaceful if no one is there. It's like a new beginning. And because they, as satanic worshipers, renounce God in heaven without God even sending them there, they would rather rank in this peaceful, empty place sounding more like paradise. A homosexual man once told me, I don't want to go to heaven. It would be boring anyway. I would rather be something useful, like a star. Though he was no satanic worshiper, his thinking was no different. I thought about what he said for a long time. Let's say God gave him his wish and he became a star in the heavens. There's nothing out there. It's pure darkness, vast emptiness, separation set afire. Wouldn't that be boring? So in hindsight, he was wishing on himself exactly what he didn't want. The devil is tricky like that. Because he was gay, he would rather give up the keys of heaven than have them taken. Yet I never read in the Bible that Jesus died for all people to be saved except for them.
True. And this is a true story. So think about, that homosexual man that, basically says, I don't want to go to heaven. Basically already just giving up on heaven altogether. And so there isn't anything that even has to be taken from him. And how many people are doing this? What if all you have to do is just
And it's just because
accept? What if it's just that easy?
to accept Jesus.
Just to accept Christ. What if it's that easy and so many people are not?
It's just because of them not knowing Christ, not knowing the Bible, and going by what other people say, other judgmental Christians that just automatically condemn instead of saying, you know what, just come to Christ. He loves you anyway. The world is so ready, even most Christians are so ready to condemn.
That's true. And then like a satanic worshiper, they believe that, well, if you're a Christian and if you're good and God takes care of you, then the opposite must be the same. And so then they truly believe and give up the keys of heaven, freely, because they believe that they're going to have some sort of power or rank, or they're actually given, sort of favors or gifts here, worldly gifts temporarily. So, is pain useful? I mean, if everything was given to you, like, let's say, you inherited all this money, you didn't have to work for it, would you appreciate it? Would you appreciate, a painting that was, made by somebody else, if it didn't mean anything to you, if it was, just given? And it's like that. And
take for instance a drug dealer. They spend their money just as easily as they make it because it's not hard earned, hard worked. You know what I mean? So I think it is easier I don't know. It's just, it is tricky.
I was
if you
blind.
didn't work and be in pain and sweat for it, do you appreciate it?
It kind of does make you appreciate it more when you had to work for it. Like sometimes, like for instance, I want to give things away. And it's almost like if you were to sell it to someone and they, or you know what, not even sell it to them. I've actually put stuff out near the trash, and people are more willing to take it if I put it out near the trash than if I'm trying to give it away because they feel like they found something, they got a treasure. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird like that. It's almost like, I don't know, like the pain is useful. I mean, look at the 5 years that I was blind, and life now isn't that, I'm not going more places, it can be really boring. But it's not as boring as not seeing anything. And so, it's made me a lot more appreciative, that pain of not being able to see anything, would how I am or who I am be enough had I not lost everything before, you know? Um, I appreciate so much more because I didn't have, and it sucks sometimes that it takes having to lose absolutely everything for you to realize, you know what, I had it pretty good, why, or miss something, or have to have everything taken from you in order for you to understand happiness or love or whatever.
That's usually how it is in most relationships, People take the other half for granted and, until they don't have them anymore. They might have put up with a lot. They might have put up with, one thing after another. And then finally, people get tired. And so until you don't have that person anymore, sometimes you don't realize what you have until you've lost it. It's just like that. Why is it?
I don't know. It's almost like, if you think about it, speaking of relationships, when somebody like really, really wants you really bad and they're texting you every day and they love you so much, you're like, ew, this person's weird. But then when they stop, you're like, oh, wait a minute, where'd they go? And all of a sudden, they're more interesting. So it is like that. It's like hide and seek, It's like we were given everything in the garden, but that wasn't good enough, so then God had to hide it so that we could find it. So in all through our lives, there's these spiritual eggs that we find, and we have to, we have to actually look for them.
And it's the same as for like, you get those morning texts and all this, they're after you until they get you, and then once they got you, then those go away.
That's right.
It's like they don't have to work anymore. They don't have to work as hard anymore either. You know what I mean? So what happened to how you were acting at the beginning?
It's like me with my dolls. I want something. I want them so bad. I mean, I want that collectible. And finally, it's like, oh my God, I can purchase it. And then once I do, it's like, okay, then let me put it over here with the rest of my possessions and work on the next possession that I can get and add to that. But anyways, I mean, let's purpose and pain. I asked God, take away all my strongholds. And drinking alcohol is something that I still tried to enjoy. Well, now it's getting to the point where anytime I drink any sort of alcohol, I'm not feeling well. And I don't like not feeling well. See, but I asked God, take away my strongholds. And so how many times have you asked God, take this from me, take away, if this man isn't good for me, if this job isn't good for me, if this specific life isn't good for me, take it from me. And then he does, but then we keep going back to it and back to it and back to it anyway.
I've never thought of that.
So
we've
I'm
thought
like,
of that in person.
Take this from me. So now I'm like, I don't enjoy drinking anymore, but I still got to go try every once in a while to make sure, and it still makes me not feel good. And so I told him, take this from me, and so he's doing exactly that. So again, does pain have purpose?
In Isaiah 41:10, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. You know, this is such a good verse for me right now because, without revealing too much at this moment, I do feel dismayed so much lately to where it's that it's hard. It's harder for me to come to the Lord when I'm feeling this way. It's harder for me to. It's okay.
Okay.
It's harder for me to just get on my knees and say, Lord, I'm feeling this type of way. Why?
So it's easier for you to come to Him when you're happy?
Yeah. I come to the Lord more when I am happier. And when I am depressed, it's almost like I don't even have that in me. Like, and sometimes I'm like, Jesus, I need you. I don't know what's wrong with me right now, but I need you. And I go through that. I go through depression. I go through those time periods. But it just seems, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
It can be the opposite for me, where, I mean, when I'm just so comfortable and things are just going so great, where I'm not going into the prayer room as often, and, so it can be both ways.
it is like that a lot of times, and then it's what's crazy is that when somebody's suffering, that's usually when they come to God. And for me, it's like when I'm so happy, I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much, because I'm just so thankful that I'm happy, and I'm so thankful that something went right, because I'm so used to things not going right, I guess, from our lives, just past, and we shouldn't think that way, but it's just like you get used to things not going the way you expect them to, so you're just, I don't know. Anyway, I might have gone off subject.
Seek and you shall find.
Yeah.
Knock and the door shall be open to you. If you're not doing that, how do you expect change?
I know, and that's what I need to be doing. And that's why I'm glad we're doing our podcast right now, because I need it. If not anybody else, we need this. This is our time to communicate. It's our time for God. We do this and not for ourselves or for our likes or for anybody else, but for God, so that everybody can know that that we're relatable. We're not perfect. We don't claim to be. That's why we're called unorthodox, because we're far from orthodox.
Absolutely. A year from, a year or two when we started, you'll see that we were different, and in a year or two from now, we'll be different.
so and that's one thing about it, is that as long as you have to be continually growing, though, and try. And I feel like we do. I know I'm not the same person that I was, a year, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if you were to look at my Facebook. But
and a lot of
I don't even recognize that girl.
What is it that has made you grow? Pain?
It has been my relationship with Jesus.
Good.
That's what has made me grow, because I'm not that same person. I don't have the same mindset that I had 10 years ago, for sure.
That's true.
Because I could actually wish harm on
without
people.
Christ, I mean, I can't imagine what sort of helplessness that I could have tried to fall into, and
just
my
10 years ago, I would have wanted to cause harm still on people. Yeah, I would want to still do bodily harm, and I don't want to do that no more. I don't want to just sit there and think of, all my enemies and how I would like to hurt them. And at one time I did. That's just real. That's just true. By whom also we have access by faith into this grace wherein we stand, and rejoice in hope of the glory of God. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also. Wow, that's what we're talking about. Knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Ghost, which is given unto us. Romans 5:2-5.
So you see how tribulation has its purpose, it brings hope, and you see like even
Patience.
yeah, definitely. I've learned
Experience.
quite a bit of patience. I have quite a bit of experience, and with those things, we can bring that, and that does make us relatable. You know, our tribulation, our patience, our um, hope.
Our love. So that was what we had for today, and which is actually really good because it was really speaking to me. Just because I know that I've gone through a lot of experience. We've gone through a lot of experience, and that's all we try to do is just if we can relate to one person, then we're doing our jobs.
Absolutely. And you know, pain has its purpose. What is yours? If you're going through something, you know, think about what is it that God's trying to show you. And, you know, everything works for the greater good of his purpose, even those bad things. And just like I said, you know, I asked for the Lord to take away my strongholds, and you know, drinking was something that I could run to. You know, if I'm bored, I could run to it. If I'm depressed, I could run to it. But I told him, take this away. Now I don't feel good when I drew it, so it's not something I can run to. Now I have to just run to him. And so if you're asking the Lord to take certain things from you, if you're asking him, you know, to strengthen you in certain things, but you're not willing to let them go, then you have to ask yourself, you know, what am I doing? Why? What is God trying to teach me? What am I afraid of? Am I not having faith? What am I supposed to let go of? You know, Moses, he had to first take the first step into that water before it split. And sometimes we got to do that. And so thank you for coming again, unorthodox people. We love you. The Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you, be gracious to you, and give you his peace this week. Goodbye.
Bye.